Have you struggled to make LinkedIn work? Do you want to build your personal brand, generate leads, and win clients, but it's just not coming together? Say goodbye to endless hours trying to crack it and get booked into the Six Figure Masterclass. Six Figure Masterclass is an intensive one-day workshop segmented into 5 in-depth sessions that will give you the tools and strategies you need to build your personal brand, create engaging content, generate leads, and close new clients. You will demolish the roadblocks that hold you back from succeeding on LinkedIn. These 5 sessions on the day aren't just theory. You'll be shown practically how to achieve success on LinkedIn. These 5 sessions are building a killer personal brand from scratch, filling your profile with prospects, creating content that converts, generating leads on demand, and building your LinkedIn revenue flywheel. Success on LinkedIn comes down to how many discovery calls you get from your ideal clients. Everything else is just vanity. The masterclass will take you beyond the vanity of likes, comments, and impressions, and you'll go to the next level of leads, calls, and clients. Think about what an extra 5, 10 to 20 calls in your diary would do for your business. Instead of spending hours on LinkedIn and achieving very little, every action is building your pipeline, a 6-figure pipeline that is in your control. Each session has practical steps to take and strategies that will give you the means to walk into LinkedIn and start generating leads. No unsure steps, the stress of deciding what to post next, or burnt bridges. All these techniques aren't pushy, rely on having a big network or running unnecessary ads. 6-Figure LinkedIn will show you how to make social selling a natural part of your sales and marketing process. Get your pass today and build your brand, build your content, get those connections, and earn 6-figure revenue. Have any questions? Contact our events team at hi@maverick.io.
Welcome to the webinar. Hopefully you're joining us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. If you have noticed something different about me, have you noticed something different about me? If you were here last week, I had, some would call it a beard, some would not call it a beard, but I had one. I was deciding to try and trim it because it was getting a little bit bushy and made a terrible mistake. So now I look like a child. So welcome to the webinar. We're going to be talking about how to generate leads on LinkedIn. I am Dean Seddon. I'm the founder of MAVERRIK. MAVERRIK, what is MAVERRIK? We're going to get into the session in a minute. I'm just giving some time for people to join on the various platforms. What is MAVERRIK? We are a company that helps people social sell. So we help you win clients on LinkedIn through social selling. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Graham, in the chat. Happy new month, Bridget. Please let us know where you're joining from in the chat. We'll kickstart in a couple of minutes. Just get everything ready. Make sure the stream's stable, all that fun stuff. And then we'll dig into the session. Just whilst we're waiting, a bit of kind of housekeeping, just so that you know. At the bottom here, on the kind of news ticker, I've actually set up an email address. So there's an email address there. Hi, there's somebody in the chat on YouTube there joining. I can see, yeah, hi and welcome. Hi, Beyond Behavior. Hi, Donald. Hi, ERS. Hi, Retain. Please let us know where you're joining from in the chat. And Fort Lauderdale, Leighton Buzzard, Doncaster, brilliant. India, Italy, awesome. Donald, hopefully the audio will settle down in a couple of minutes. We're just getting everything live here, and then we'll kick into the session. But just on the housekeeping, below here, you're going to see my email address. So hi@maverick.io. Now, I'm going to give you some free resources, and when we don't send you web links or anything, you can just email us and ask them for them. So do not put your details, your personal details, or your email address in the chat. If you want any of the resources I'm going to share with you today, please just drop us an email and we'll send them to you directly. Hi, Katie from Utah, Mike from Atlanta, Andrea. I'm not sure where Andrea's from. Hi, Siobhan from London, Verena from Canada, Alberto from Ohio. Brilliant to have you all here. So first, little thing here, I wrote this book. It's it's about a 20, 30-minute read. And I wrote this little mini book for people to have access to if they want it. It's How to Get 10K Months Using LinkedIn. Totally free book. If you want a copy of it, drop us an email. I'm going to get into the session and talk you through 3 ways you can generate leads with your LinkedIn profile, and you can do them tomorrow. I'm going to show you them today. But if you want our 10K Months little book, we'll send you a PDF copy of it, totally free, no catch, no cost. Just drop us an email. Email address is on the screen. So take the email address on the screen and go and send me an email, hi@maverick.io, and we will send this to you. Now, I'm in the UK and it's 7 p.m. here. So if you email us tonight, we will send this to you tomorrow. So if you want a copy of that, please do drop the email in. Now, you came here to learn about how to generate leads with your LinkedIn, on LinkedIn. Hi, Joel from New York City. I'm going to talk you through 3 ways that you can do it. And one of the things that I think is really useful, as particularly with stuff like this, is if you are eager to ask questions about how does this work, how can this work for me, please ask that in the chat. It's far more interesting for you guys, and you'll get far more value out of this session if you ask the questions and I respond to your questions. So hi, Dan. Hi, Dan. Hi, Amel. Hi, Joel. Hi, Maureen. So let's kickstart this and let's get going. Virginia Beach. There's loads of stuff to get through here. So please do ask questions because I think it will be helpful. Helpful for you guys. So if you've never met us before, I'll just give you an intro to us. This is what we do all day long. So we are focused solely on our whole business. How do we build a business, build revenue, build pipeline, generate sales exclusively on LinkedIn? We do these webcasts, we do one-to-one training, we train sales teams, we have group coaching programs. This is what we do for a living all day, every day. There is not a LinkedIn strategy I've probably not seen. And I'm going to walk you through some very, very simple ones that you can use. You can start them tomorrow and they will start to deliver results for you as soon as you start implementing them. Okay, Fort Lauderdale, one of my favorite places. I love the kind of Miami, Fort Lauderdale. So great to have you here. I'd much rather be where you are. So maybe I'm going to come and do some webinars in Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. So let's just start for a minute. Let's just start for a minute and say, what the hell is a lead, right? Now, why does this matter, right? Why does this matter? So not all what we term leads are actually leads. A connection is not a lead. Yeah, somebody who accepts your first degree connection is not a lead. I define a lead as somebody who needs you and is open to a conversation or curious. So a lead is an individual or organization with an interest or need for what you're selling. So a connection, a prospect is not a lead. For me, there is some degree of fit and need. So this is really important, guys. You need to have the fit established and a level of need established to generate a lead. No need, no lead. So this is what I'm counting as a lead. I'm not counting as, oh, you can message prospects and all this stuff. I'm talking about people who have an interest or need for what you are selling and they fit who you serve. Now, before we get into the 3 strategies, I want to say something really important. If you are on LinkedIn to generate leads, and assuming you're all here, that's why you're here. Number 1, you should be growing your network with the right fit kind of people. If you're not doing that, Tina, I know Tina. Tina, I'll come to need in a moment. I'll come to the need in a moment. But you should be growing. Write this down. 20 connection requests should go out every single day from your account to people who fit your criteria. Now, I'm going to show you a couple of bits on the criteria in a moment and show you how I find what I call the most valuable clients. These are people where there is more scope for growth, more scope for opportunity for you. That's the first thing. We want to find those people, and we want to be growing our network with those people every single day. I was on a strategy call with somebody earlier this week, and they said to me, I've built up 16,000 connections. And I was like, okay, struggling to generate any leads. Okay, that seems a bit odd, right? When we went through Sales Navigator and interrogated their connections, what we discovered was that they had only got, out of the 16,236 were actually people that potentially they could do business with. So my first thing today is, before we get anywhere else, you're not going to get any leads if you are not growing your network each and every day, 20 people every day who fit who you can serve. Don't do that. You're going to try and magic leads out of the air, and it's not going to work. The other thing I'm going to say to you is, do not rely, and I'm not saying you sales pitch the crap out of people. I'm not saying that at all. But do not rely on content to bring you leads consistently, right? We've seen how algorithms work. One day, you're cruising at the top of the world, you feel like you're going to change the world, and you're going to be, your whole world and path is set in front of you because you're riding high. And then a couple of weeks down the line, it's like you've fallen from grace, nobody knows you exist. One, control your emotions and don't let algorithms manipulate how you feel. Content is an awareness game first. It's not a reach game. An awareness game first with the right people. But content isn't the primary way that most people generate leads in the short term. It just doesn't work that way. Content is a long-term game. I said this earlier to a group of people on a call. On average, it takes about 21 pieces of content. Somebody has to consume 21 pieces of your content before they fully appreciate and potentially could become a lead. So content is a long game, right? What I'm going to show you are some short-term things you can do tomorrow to generate leads. And I'm going to also give you, tell you about a mini course that we're launching on tomorrow, actually. It's Wednesday tomorrow. We're launching a mini course tomorrow about how I generate leads really quickly with step-by-step tutorials, and I'll tell you about that a little bit later. So we want to be growing our network with the right people. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flick to LinkedIn for a second, because I want to show you a couple of features of how I do it. So just bear with me while I go to LinkedIn. I prefer to use Sales Navigator to do this, because what I want to do is I want to find the most valuable clients, the most potential, the companies with the most opportunity. Now you might go, do you know what? I serve people in a particular industry. So I serve people in the marketing and marketing services industry, right? So you might go, that's who I serve. Would you believe, by clicking that box there, marketing services, you eliminate 50%, almost 47%, 47% of all of the leads on LinkedIn that could fit your criteria. This is one of the weird flaws of the industry category on LinkedIn. So when you're trying to find the most valuable clients, what most people do is they filter by industry on the profile and they eliminate 47%. 47%. Why is that? Well, not everybody updates their industry. So if you've been on LinkedIn for like 10 years and you started out in manufacturing 10 years ago, but now you're in marketing services, you've probably never updated your industry. And likewise, a lot of the companies that you want to serve, companies that do what you need them to do, they will have a different industry to the employee. So for an example, the HR manager of a marketing company might have the industry HR. So this industry filter can be quite it can throw you off course, and you can end up in a situation where you are eliminating leads that could be really juicy for you. So what we want to do is instead of that, is actually find the companies that we want to serve. So we find the marketing services companies. And as we can see, there's 160,000 of them. Chuck, you can filter by position, but if you want to filter by, like, I want managing directors in manufacturing businesses, that can mean that 47% of the manufacturing managing directors are eliminated because their industry isn't correct. So a lot of people don't have the most up-to-date industry. So if you're going, I want CEOs, or I want founders in particular verticals or particular sectors, actually you will eliminate about 47% of people because they have the industry wrong on their profile or they've never updated it. So the best way to do this, to find the most valuable leads and clients, is actually to use the account search first. And this is where we should be growing our network with 20 people every single day. Using those connections, not because we're going to pitch them, not because we're going to hammer them with DMs, but because we want them in our network. So when we do post, they know who we are. When we do start some lead generation strategies, which I am going to show you in a moment, they're the first people to see it. So we want to be growing our network, 100% growing our network, to allow that 21 pieces of content to actually work for us. But that's the time consumed. So we grow the network now, let the content do the work, and then use some of the strategies I'm going to show you today to actually make a difference. So I've got the marketing services, and of course, I'm going to filter by where they're located. So I'm going to go marketing services companies in the US, right? So that's the first thing I've done. I filtered it to the US. Let me just zoom out a little bit so hopefully you can see this a little bit clearer, because it's quite big, right? So I've filtered and found the marketing services companies in the US. Now, thinking about your service, what size business is most suited to you? What size business within the marketing services? One, why does this matter? Because the messaging will be different based on the decision maker and the size of the business. So if you're targeting small businesses, the decision maker is definitely going to be the managing director. And the bigger the business, obviously, the less likely it's going to be the CEO or managing director. So that's the first thing. How big of a business? Now, there's going to be a bit of a thing here that we're going to talk about. The next filters I want you to use to find your most valuable clients are the ones where there is a potential that they have budget to spend or invest. Now, you can use some of the Sales Navigator features to actually find out if they have budget or if they have money to spend. So I'm just going to change it for a moment and go, actually, I'm going to look at these marketing services businesses. So hopefully you can see this here. I'm looking at marketing services businesses, 51 to 200 in the US, and I've got 180 of them. So I could just go, yeah, they'll all work for me, right? I could just do it. They'll all work for me. But actually, I can find the ones with the most interest for me by going, let's see if there's a gauge of whether they've got budget to spend. So one of the great things about Sales Navigator account searches is I can actually find companies whereby they are growing, they're investing in people, they are adding to their headcount. And when they add to their headcount, they're committing to extra costs, which means they're growing. They're not adding people for adding people's sake. They're adding people because their revenue's rising or their work's rising, which is a good indicator they're making more money. So I can go, and I'm just going to do ridiculous numbers here, 10%, so they increase their headcount by at least 5 people, but up to 500%. So now out of those 180, I found 76 companies whereby they are growing. So they're adding headcount, which means they're investing budget, they're increasing their expenditure 9 times out of 10, directly in relation to the revenue. They're not growing to just sink more money in headcount. They're growing that way, profitably. So I've got 76 companies, and then I would find my decision makers off those 75 companies. So I'd save them and find the decision makers I want. And 51 to 200 is probably the managing director. There might be a marketing director. There might be a CEO, something like that. whoever your position is. But now what we found is instead of just going managing directors, marketing services, this size company, we've now found the 76 that are growing. So they're increasing their headcount, they're investing, and so they should be investing budget at the same time. So they're more open to making investments because they are a growing business. Likewise, depending on what you were doing, depending on what you were selling, you could actually reverse that and go, okay, let's look for companies where they've reduced. I don't think this will work, minus 500%. I don't know, you can do minus 500%, but I've done it. These companies here are actually reducing their headcount by more than 5%. So they've reduced their headcount by more than 5 people based on the minimum numbers. So it might be these companies are ones that you can approach. So what we're doing here is finding the most valuable clients. Donald, good point. It might be. I don't know each of yours businesses, so it might be just worth thinking about who are the best fit people for me. So we call this the most valuable clients. If I can serve every managing director in marketing services, okay, great. But who's a real good fit for us in that camp? Is it big companies, small companies, is it growing companies, is it small? There's all sorts of things. Um, retain, it's not retain limited. It's not essential to have Sales Navigator, but it will make your life easier. So I'll just go you one more thing and show you one more thing before we go into the actual today. And I'll show you all of the things I'm going to show you you could actually do on any LinkedIn. But filling your network with the right people, it is absolutely worth using Sales Navigator because you can find people. Number one, you can find people who've posted. You can find people who have updated their job. You can find people who are companies who are growing. That's much more difficult on normal LinkedIn to find the subset of your sweet spot that are actually growing or contracting. And I'll just show you a couple of others. You can do it by headcount. So for an example, they have 0 to 1 person in HR, for an example. So maybe you're a HR consultant or an outsourced HR company, and now suddenly I can find all of those companies that are contracting or the other way around, growing. So I could put it back to growing. Just bear with me while I do it. So those 76 companies that are growing that only have 1 person in HR. What does that mean? They're either outsourcing it or they're overwhelmed. So that might be a good 25 people that you might want to work with, 25 companies that you might want to work with. So it's just about thinking, who are the sweet spots? What's the circumstances that could be good for us within their business? And you can look at companies where they're growing, a department's growing or a department's contracting, and you can narrow it down. So I'm looking here and going, okay, show me all the marketing services companies with only 1 HR person, and there's 52. 52. So it's about finding those sweet spot people that you're going to be connecting. But either way, connect 20 people every day, 20 people at your target companies every single day. Fill that network full of prospects so that they're seeing your content, they're being educated, they're learning about you. The more they're connected with you, the longer they're connected with you, the more familiar you'll become. And familiarity actually helps you when you message them or ask them a question. Because the longer they've known you, the more they've seen you, the colder you feel, and the more you'll be able to get responses from your prospects. So it's important that you do that. So let me just flick back to my slides and we'll kick into what we're doing. So that's bit number one. Bit number one is fill your fill your profile full of prospects and look for the most valuable ones and make sure you prioritize the most valuable people to you. So using Sales Navigator to figure that out is going to make your life so much easier. And it will eliminate you adding, and if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll have seen I've been talking about what I call LinkedIn zombies. These are people who are really inactive, almost duds. And on LinkedIn, it's hard to see the difference between the duds, the zombies, and the lurkers. Lurkers are the people who may not post so much, but actually observe a lot. And you want to be connected to them, but you don't want to be connected to zombies. Cindy, no, I'm not going to talk about Sales Navigator anymore now. That was just an emphasis there. Get connected to the right people. Sorry, Joel. I'm saying send 20 connection requests per day, so 100 per week. So 20 Monday, 20 Tuesday, 20 Wednesday, 20 Thursday, 20 Friday. If you put a comment on a post or engage with a post beforehand, or you put a very personalized message, you'll get between 25 and 40% acceptance rate. It can go a bit higher, but it depends. If you're targeting more active people, it's obviously a more higher result. But if you're broadly cold connecting, it's about 15%. So you want to get as many of those 100 you're sending each week connected. So putting a little effort into the connection request, personalized message so they can see a robot, engaging with their content before you connect will also improve the connection acceptance rate. Sales Navigator isn't free. It's not free, but it is the best tool in the market for reaching B2B decision makers. It's not just the directory. There are a whole host of tools inside Sales Navigator that help your business. Sales Navigator knows if a prospect is coming to your website and will tell you. Yeah, most people don't know this because they never set it up. My Sales Navigator will tell me. I was on a call with somebody earlier, and I looked through Sales Navigator and I saw you've been checking out our website. Before the call, I'd seen it. I made an inbound inquiry and I'd seen they'd visited our website, and Sales Navigator told me all this information. So that's really important. But you don't need Sales Navigator for what I'm going to show you. Some very simple things you can do. So I'm going to show you 3 ways you can do lead gen with your profile without actually having to pitch anybody. Now, I could show you a whole host of other things, but I'm actually launching a mini course with some simple ways, not these ones, but some other ways, including the 72-hour leads method that we're going to be sharing with you as a mini course that you can get access to. So I'm going to share that with you. And this is the course. It's a free mini course, so you can get access to it because you come to the webinar. You can have it for free. All you need to do is drop me an email, say, "Hi, Dean. Please can you send me details of the free mini course, and we will send you the details tomorrow, along with, if you want this PDF document about the generating revenue on LinkedIn, we'll send you that free too." So there's 2 things we'll give you for free: the mini course and the 10K months. Donna, is there a difference between a personal and a business page? Yes, there is. I'll answer this just before we dig into the 3 points. So let me just say this as simply as I can. You will get more leads from your personal profile than your company page. It's very difficult to get organic leads from your company page, but if your profile is where the magic happens. So for the vast majority of people, salespeople, solopreneurs, small businesses, the power of LinkedIn is in the profile, not the page. So the power is in the profile, not the page. Now, there are some things you can do in terms of generating leads on your company page. I'm not covering them tonight, but we do have I think we launched a mini course last week about how you can use your LinkedIn company page to generate leads. So message me if you want details of that. You can connect with me, send me a connection request, message me on LinkedIn, whichever. But if you want this mini course, send me an email. Mark, yes, in fact, they do. So, Jeremy, I'm not sure what your question is there in terms of the backstory to it, but do people actually accept connection requests from salespeople they don't know? Yes. In 12 to 25% of the time, people will accept your connection request, even if it's cold. So if you send a cold connection request and your profile looks the part, so you look real, yeah. If you look a bit sketchy or your profile isn't done, or you've not filled out your profile properly, that will hurt you, because actually 62% of users vet their profiles before they connect. So sort your profile out, number one. But then even a cold connection request is 15 to 25%. Now, I wouldn't would not recommend, first off, cold connecting if you can avoid it. So if you can find people who are posting, and I would absolutely do that first. But cold connecting, it is frowned on by some, but it's becoming more accepted in this day and age. It used to be a big no-no, but it's not too bad. But I wouldn't do all of your connecting cold. It could be a problem. You want to limit your cold connecting to probably about half of your 100 a week. Jeremy, is this the LinkedIn algorithm or human nature? I'm not sure what you mean there in terms of. Yes, sorry, Jeremy. Yes, I get you now. So yes, it's human nature most of the time. Well, I'll answer it in twice. Humans want to interact with humans. That's the first thing. You can't beat that. Every social channel, humans want to interact with humans. So profiles will always do better than pages. Number one, hands down. That's always the case. But remember that LinkedIn is a business. It's not a charity. It's not a community. It's a business. And so they make money from people spending money on advertising. So if they allowed a free-for-all on company pages, they would undermine their own advertising product. Nobody in their right mind would do that. So they're not going to make it easy for your company page to prosper, because it's against their business plan. It's against their business objectives. They want to get you on advertising. They want to get you doing all those things. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's their business model. They built the platform. They set the rules. But profiles tap into something more important. They want people to stay on the platform and be engaged on the platform. And so if you use your profile to engage people, they are going to reward you because they need eyeballs on the platform. So profiles help the algorithm, but organic stuff on the company page can hinder their business plan. So there's two parts to that. First bit is human nature. People buy from people and people engage with people. The second part of that is actually LinkedIn does not really want you to achieve great things with your company page organically, just generally speaking. Tina, what do you think about LinkedIn ads? They're awfully expensive. Tina, we need to have a chat anyway, because I was thinking in a non-dodgy way. I was thinking about you the other day. We need to have a catch up, because I was thinking about you the other day, and not in a dodgy way. I'm just a Northern Brit, so I just say what I think. 62%, right? So when you send that connection request, 62% of people will look at your profile before they decide to accept or reject or ignore your connection request. So make sure you look real, you look credible, you look friendly. Those three things: you look real, you look credible, you look friendly. Anybody want to wave their hand or react and say they can spot fake profiles? Anybody else? Is it just me? You can spot the fake profiles. You can spot when people have made an AI profile picture that's kind of not cropped right, and the profile looks like it was made yesterday. I'm getting a ton of those on an ongoing basis now, people trying to connect with me, and you can tell this profile was made like a week ago. There's not enough connections there, background's a bit sketchy, there's no backstory, there's no content. It just feels fake. Yeah, we do not want to look like that. Friendly, credible, helpful. So your profile is basically an education place. Yeah, it's where people are learning about how you add value to their world. So go through your profile. I know it might seem like it's a waste of time. It's actually not. It's massive. And one of the lead gen tactics I'm going to show you actually today will build on that. Jeremy, you see it hourly on Facebook. Well, actually, I see it more on LinkedIn than I've ever seen it. So there's particular telltale signs, but the more active you get, the more you will be hit with these fake profiles. Okay, I've got limited time, So I want to get through what I'm going to show you. So the first thing I want to show you is a loaded poll. Now, we've been teaching about loaded polls forever, right? And when you get this, it's like, oh my God, this is incredible. Every week, I can get leads with one poll. One post will do all the work for me. And most people don't get it. They miss it massively, right? So the first thing about a loaded poll is all of the answers tell you something about where the audience's need is. Doesn't give you a whole, here's the PO, invoice me, or here's my credit card. It's like, no, I'm getting a telltale sign that this person, the way they voted, is I can help them, right? So it's really important that you think about these loaded polls. Now, I'm going to say something right now that is really important. Don't make the question or the answer too complicated. The number of votes you get is directly related to how simple the question is. I've seen people totally mess this up because they ask too complicated a question. It needs to be dead simple, as basic as they come. So I'm going to show you a couple of polls that I've done to give you an example. These are really simple. So you build your network with the target prospects, right? You design the poll, spend some time on the poll going, what's the simplest question? And what are the 4 answers that will all give me a telltale sign of where my audience is at, where my connections are at? You put the poll out, and I'm going to add another point in here. Put the poll out, and then you can send that poll to 50 or 60 of your sweet spot MVCs, most valuable clients that you've connected with, and ask them for their thoughts. And you do this as soon as it's launched, because when you do it, they vote, it pumps up the algorithm, but it also gets a snapshot of where those people are. You won't get all of them voting, but you'll get a sample, and you'll get 40, 50, 60 votes overall over a week. And you follow each of them up and say, I spotted you voted on my poll. And I'm going to show you how this works. If you don't do this, you are mad. You're not looking for thousands of votes. You're not polling people and saying, do you like red or blue? What do you like? Do you like cornflakes or Rice Krispies? You're asking them about their needs and their priorities and the way they're thinking, so that when they vote, it gives you an indication of where they're at. And again, don't overcomplicate this. Make it really, really simple. So let me just tab to LinkedIn, and I'll show you an example on my LinkedIn. So let me just go down. I've shared quite a lot of stuff this week. So here's a poll. Hopefully you can see that. Maybe I'll zoom in a little bit more for you to see it. Right? Which bit are you working on? So this is the poll that I put out. Which bit are you working on? Dead simple, right? Real simple question. What's your goal for LinkedIn right now? Build my personal brand, improve my content engagement, generate more inbound leads, and get more success from outreach. 151 votes. I didn't just get those by just leaving it there. I actually shared, Mark, no, I'll show you in a minute. I actually shared this poll with a few people and said, I'm interested to hear what you think, right? 50, 60 people who've connected, right? So I'm not pitching them. I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm not even going to pitch them if they vote. I'm just trying to gauge where their interest is. Now, when you do a poll, you see this send at the bottom. You can click it here and you can type in names and you can click and pick the names of the people. Right? And then I can write, just shared this poll, interested in your own take on LinkedIn. So I've just sent that to 3 people really quickly. So they will vote. People will vote on the poll. Now that's up to them. They can choose to vote or they don't vote. You just send it to a few people, to the right people to get it out there. So I sent that out, dead simple, just to get the poll moving with some of the right people, get that going. A few days' time, weeks' time, I'm going to go back to the poll and I can see who's voted and what they voted for. So I'm doing this quickly because this is real, right? So I can see what they voted for, and then I can drop each one a message, thank them for following up, thank them for the vote, and say to them, more than happy, no agenda, and there is no agenda, because I'm going to help them whether they show interest in my services or not. And that's one of the key things. The pressure to sell on LinkedIn can be confusing for people. It can throw people off. And has it landed? So it's landed here. I don't know whether you can see that there, but it's landed in somebody else's inbox. This is in Luke's inbox. And we can see the votes. And Luke's got it. And Luke can reply. He can vote. Or he doesn't have to vote. He can vote inside the message box. He doesn't even have to go to the post. So he can put his opinion in there. And then I would follow up in a week's time, thank them for voting, maybe share a few insights with them. I would normally do a video message or an audio message and say, look, I spotted the way you voted. No real agenda from me. I'm more than happy to show some of the things that I know about that will help you achieve your goal or help you solve this challenge. Again, no agenda, but if you're free for a chat, half an hour or so, I'll walk you through some of the things that I've been doing to help people achieve that result. And keep it like that, really low key, and tell people just reply and we'll set a time up. And I will book off this one. I've not followed this one up. This was I think a week ago, 5 days ago, so it's still a day or so to go. I'll follow this up probably on, where are we tomorrow? Wednesday, probably on Friday. And I will book maybe 10, 15 meetings off the back of it. Now, it's important, and Mark raises a really good point. It's not an objective to sell. It's an objective that they've demonstrated need, and all I'm going to do is actually follow them up and offer some value. No agenda. And if they ask me about how I could help them in a more service-driven sense, I will tell them. And here's the thing. When you add value first, people ask how you can help get them more. So it's a very simple process to follow. If people don't vote, that's no big deal, but I'm not pitching people. I'm not asking people to buy from me. I'm literally trying to open up conversation. And if they've got a need in a particular area, I will follow that need. The email address is on screen if you want the free mini course and the book. It's hi@maverick.io. I'm just responding to William in the chat. Hi@maverick.io. Send me an email. Don't put your email in the chat. And I will send you the book and I'll send you access to the free mini course on some of the other more advanced strategies on how I generate leads. Okay, so that's task number 1, loaded polls. Now we teach this in our programs. We say to people, if you need leads, these are some of the simple things you can do right now. So a simple one to do is the loaded poll. Now this next one is actually quite counterintuitive because you would not believe that this actually works, but it does. So let me just pull it up. So we actually have, if you want more details on the loaded polls, it's in the mini course as well. So if you get the mini course, you've got the details on that too. So this next one is actually really simple. It's very, very simple, right? That headline you've got, and I'm looking actually through the chat here on LinkedIn, and I can see William's headline, I can see Grace's headline, I can see Andrea's headline, I can see Bridget's headline. Here's the thing. Now, you can see this on screen, India's headline, she's updated it because she's got a new target audience, but India's target audience was companies with a propensity to cold call. And so she would find the most active users on LinkedIn, her MVCs, and then she would engage with them on LinkedIn using her headline to create the curiosity. So it says in her headline, let's quit cold calling and get more meetings. Business development executive at Maverick. Look how the headline is a bit different. And what India was doing is engaging with the people where the companies have a propensity to cold call and are probably fed up with it or sick of it or it's struggling or they don't like doing it. And so India would target those companies, which were obviously a lot of them financial services, insurance, things like that. And she was targeting those, engaging with them in the comments, interacting with them back and forth. And guess what? A percentage of those people every week would come back to India and say, hey, how do you get more meetings without cold calling? And she'll say, well, let me come on a call. I'll show you. I'll show you how I do it. And she'll show some of the other strategies that we use as well as the strategy she's doing there. Now, this is about understanding your audience's pain point and really zeroing in on it and using your headline to actually prompt people to go, what is this person all about? Now, when people come to your profile, I'm not going to cover it today, but in your profile, you should have the featured section. And in your featured section on your profile, one of the first things you should have there is the how I can work with you. And it doesn't matter whether you're an enterprise, large enterprise, small enterprise, solopreneur, that first featured post, the first featured item should be how you can work with me, because that's the first one people are going to click. So every time you drive people to your profile from connection requests, messages, commenting on their post, creating that curiosity with your headline, they come back to your profile and have a look at those bits. But you can create a ton of conversations by just commenting on the right people using a pain point headline and get the conversations going. And you can just say, if they ask you the question, say, happy to show you, when you're free. You might spend 25, 30 minutes per day just using your pain point headline and basically commenting on people's posts. Not great posts, thanks for sharing. More detailed than that, but just doing that over and over and over again. And then coming back to those people and doing it again and again and again. Repetition, and you will provoke leads. Might take you a little while to get it going, but it works brilliantly. And it's counterintuitive because we're so eager to get a lead. Sometimes we just try and short circuit the process. We try and jump the gun. But actually, I was saying this earlier, curiosity is what gets you leads. It's not about convincing people, it's about making people curious. So when you think about your messaging, when you think about what you're doing, is it making people curious to know more? Or are you trying to convince people by giving them lots of information and hoping that that goes, wow, these people are amazing, I must talk to them? Actually, you almost want to make people curious and leave a bit out so that you can follow up and say, hey, if you really want to know how to do this, I could show you some things. So pain point headlines, very powerful. It's about consistency though. It's not about once and done. It's about going back to a few people a couple of times and consistently doing it and seeing that momentum build. But the headline has to include the pain point, what they're struggling with and what do they want to get out, what's the result they want. And if you put that in and start engaging with them, make it really obvious, really clear, you'll start to get leads from that. Dead simple. Very, very simple process. So the next one, there's two parts to this. Right? The first part of this is if your prospects have birthdays, job changes, or your job, I'll come to your job change in a minute. If you have them, you should be on it. And I don't mean just congratulating them on a post, but giving them a message that's more than congrats. Do a little bit more. I hope you're having a great time. Once you settle in, love to have a chat with you. But good luck, all the best. And set yourself up for a future conversation. So don't ask for a conversation there and then. Congratulate them and wish them well, but say, let's have a catch up when you're settled. Just do that. And if you're growing your network, you'll have a couple of people, 3, 4 people every week. I get, I don't know, 10, 15 people every day. But you do it over and over and over again, and you will book calls. Let's face it, most of you here don't need 100 leads. You don't need 100 leads next week. You don't need 50 leads next week. You need 3 or 4 really good ones. 3 or 4 really good ones. So there's an argument here. Do I want 100 leads, but a lot of them are no good? Or do I want actually 3 or 4 really good ones where I can have a good relationship with them, open up an opportunity, and build a long-term business relationship? That's what most people want. But often the actions betray them because we're so hungry for leads, we do all crazy stuff and we don't build the relationships. So if they have a birthday, job change, promotion, congratulate them, wish them well, and say, let's have a catch up in a couple of weeks when you set up. Love to find out what you're up to there. And then you leave that, engage with them a little bit more, and then a couple of weeks' time, you do exactly what you said. Exactly what you said. It's very simple strategies, and they work brilliantly, but most people don't do it because they're so bluntly short-sighted. They're so focused on leads, and missing the opportunity to build a relationship where the leads will actually turn into something. I mean that. The leads will actually turn to a client because they're so focused on leads, numbers. They're not focused on people. So very, very simple one. Now, if you want to do something, you can't do this too often, but you'll see on my screen here that I have 4 positions in my company at Maverick. All of those positions I actually do, but what I've done is I broke down my roles and I've added them as separate roles in my company. Why have I done this? It's a very, very simple reason to do this. The reason I do this is because I can update that. Excuse me. Excuse me. That was a pathetic sneeze. But the reason why I've updated my job title in this way is because I can literally share a job update, click the notify my network, and over the next 72 hours, I will get loads of messages of people congratulating me. And they will say, congratulations, Dean, congrats on your new role, all that kind of stuff, all the novel stuff that you've seen. And I reply to every single one. Thank you, Ahmed. And I reply to every single one and say, thanks so much for the message. Love to catch up. How you fixed it over the next couple of weeks. Done. So if you've got a network of a couple of thousand people, say, and you do this, you'll get 200 messages or so over 72 hours. And you just go, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Love to catch up over the next couple, sometime in the next couple of weeks. Let me know when works for you. It's simple. And then in a couple of weeks' time, you follow up. It's very, very simple. They message you and you reply to them. And this is the weird bit most people don't get. It's a bit weird. You can't do it every month, right? This is a once and done. There's another benefit to this as well, which I'll tell you in a moment. So you do it once, you bring your network to life, you get these messages, you follow them up, and then literally you follow them up. Those calls and conversations. Very low key compared to some of the aggressive tactics on LinkedIn. These are tame. These are really tame tactics compared to the waffly sales pitches and the just circling back. Did you see my last message? All that nonsense. These are relatively tame that even if you're really nervous about selling, anybody can do because it's just conversational, it's relational, you can relax, you don't have to write emails, you don't have to pitch people, you're just having conversations with people. So this is a really simple way to do it. The other benefit of doing this last one, the easy DMs, and updating your network with a second job title, the other reason to do that is if you've got a large network and maybe you're feeling like your content's a bit invisible or you've maybe struggled to get traction, it's a great way to re-energize your network to know, hey, I exist. And you will notice an uptick in your content if you reply to those messages and start posting consistently. You can't do it, obviously, every week or every month. This is probably a 3 times a year thing, tops, but it will bring your network to life, create a whole load of conversations you can follow up with, and it's an easy, simple thing anybody can do, but it only works. We come back to the original point. All of this only works are filling your network with your MVCs, the people who really need you, your sweet spot people. Not everybody in one particular vertical, but try and get the sweet spots in, and then go for the more broad managing directors of marketing companies. Find the sweet spot, the MVCs first, because they're the ones that you get the most value. So, thank you for the bless yous. I think that's the first time I've ever sneezed live. It could have been worse though. My hiccups. I have the highest pitched hiccups you will ever hear. It's like so girly, it's unreal. Anyway, if you want a copy of the book, you can email me and ask a copy of the book. I'll just make sure the mini course is available. But again, the reason why I'm saying don't message here is because we get competitors who come and they scrape the event. So they scrape the event and look for all of the people they can pitch, right? And the reason why we don't want you to put your email address in the chat is because they'll come and pick it up and try and literally sell you. And that's how low it goes in my industry. Literally, just before we went live, somebody was commenting, giving people, say, hey, here's the live link. And it was actually a link to a competitor's webinar. That's how low it works in my industry. So literally, there are competitors who will come on and try and misdirect people who've signed up for our webinar to go to their webinar by posting their link, and we had to block them. So you want the free mini course and you want the book, please email me, hi@maverick.io, but also I want you to leave you with a thought. And again, I don't need an answer, but I've told people about this last week. We will help you. We have an accelerator where we will not just teach you how to do this, we will help you do it. So it's a kind of done with you. So it's part you do some work and part us do some work. And we will literally go, right, here's all the stuff you need to know. We'll help you nail your offer, nail your content, get the engagement, get the traction, get the visibility, grow your network. So you're getting new connections every week. All of that fun stuff we'll show you how to do. But then we'll actually help you fill your lead pipe and give you the strategies, but help you do it. So if you want to know more about that, there's no commitment here today. It's not like a countdown or anything like that. Email us and say, Dean, I'd love a call to find out more. I told people last week, we help people fill audio events, webinars, and show them how to persuasively present to convert leads. If you want a copy of that, you want to know more about how we can do this for you. I was on a call with somebody this morning. They've just got 1,600 connections, I think it is. Might be wrong on the numbers, but it's under 2,000. 2,000 connections. They got their first audio event. They got 400 people coming out of 1,800, 1,900. So a quarter of their network have signed up for it. And when we looked through, they're all MVCs. 99% are all MVCs. That is an opportunity that's massive. And we did that with somebody with less than 2,000 connections, and we show them how to do it. Nobody is doing this the way we're doing it because we want to follow up interest. We don't want to be pitching. And that's kind of my philosophy. I don't want to pitch, but I do follow up interest. So if you want to know more about that, again, email me. We'll set up a call. We'll tell you about it. There's no pressure from us. That's not how we work, right? You've got to make a decision to say, I'm building my business and I'm building it on LinkedIn. But we'll give you every resource, every bit of support we can. Why? Because you might not be in the place to buy right now. You might not be in the place to be a customer with us right now. But when you are, you remember us. And that's our strategy. So if you want any of the resources from tonight, please do drop me an email. We'll send them to you. Some of you wanted a replay. Again, drop me an email. We'll send it to you. Bridget, send me an email. So send an email to me at hi@maverick.io and we will do it. Just delete that email in the chat because some lead gen company or some competitor is going to come and scrape that out, and then you'll be harassed with sales pitches from them. So delete that comment with your email in and send physically. You go to Gmail or Outlook and type my email and send me an email. Say, Dean, I want to know more about how you will help me get leads. I want that book and I want that replay and I want the mini course. Send me those emails. We'll get it to you. It'll be tomorrow now. because it's nearly my bedtime in the UK. Um, but just want to say before I sign off, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for giving me your time. If you've got value from this session, there's one thing I want you to do, other than email me with asking for more details. I want you to do one thing. Go to Google, go to Trustpilot, go anywhere, to LinkedIn, and if you've got value, tell some of your network, tell people about it, so that we can, get a little bit of magic with the algorithm gods, so that people see that we actually do what we say, we deliver what we say, we've got great value. Please go do that if you've got some value. And Tina, ping me an email and we'll catch up. So thank you very much for joining me. Appreciate you all. Appreciate you coming. Appreciate all of you who follow me on LinkedIn. Your stars. Thank you. I'll be back next week. We've got another session next week. And then in a week's time, one of my team, David, he's been with me for 9 years. He's going to be doing a session. So I want you to all turn up, and he's going to be talking about personal branding. So you have to all turn up, because he's really looking forward to doing it. He's been with me for 9 years, and he's going to be the star of the show in 2 weeks' time. So thank you so much for joining me. Put those emails in, and I'll see you next week. Same time, same place.